this episode 11?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'll have to go back and check.
Okay.
So, we're back with an episode.
11?
Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 11, maybe it's 12. Who knows? So, today, Eric and I decided we were going to talk about pacing workouts, what certain workouts should feel like, what you should think about with workouts when you see certain time frames, right?
And so I feel like we should even start with the speaker we're going to have Moose on for, but we should start with what is pacing, right? What does that mean? I think a lot of us, we kind of have this general idea of pacing, and the workout starts and you're like, and just go as fast as possible. Sometimes that's the case.
Seldom.
But yeah, but not often.
I would say it depends on the length, and I think we can kind of break workouts up into maybe 3 different time windows.
Okay.
I would say like sub 5 minutes, somewhere between 7 and 15 minutes,
Okay.
and then greater than 15 minutes.
Our
I
friends.
think those have distinct pacing elements. And yes, AMRAP versus rounds for time,
Versus like an EMOM.
those will all make differences, right? And sometimes we will label a workout being rounds for time, but I know that the cap is really aggressive and most or all people won't finish it. But I also know that if I wrote AMRAP for the same time frame, you would have a very different workout.
Right. You're
Right.
just, I think mentally too, for me, looking at it, I would approach it differently. If I
Automatically.
see, right, if I see rounds for
Automatically.
time versus AMRAP, that's going to change my strategy. Because AMRAP, I'm like, all right, I got to hang on for this, amount of time. Whereas rounds for time, I'm like, okay, in order to finish, I need to be moving at this pace. So it'll change how I approach it.
So 5 minutes or less, and I would say you could probably bump it up 6 or 7 minutes, right? Like
Similar
today's
to, like,
workout was a little in this middle space where it's like it's a little bit too long to be an all-out sprint,
Right.
but it's too short to have that same as that 8 to 15 minute feel of intensity, right?
Now, did you, I don't know if it's going to get anything more, did you break up the barbell at all today?
I did.
Okay.
I found, so today's workout, those of you who haven't been in or are not coming in today, was straightforward at the end of a pretty good strength session. 6 minute AMRAP, 6 hang squat cleans, 6 shoulder to overhead, 115.85 was the RX weight. Kind of an open-esque style workout. There was one from like 2011 where it was a 5 minute AMRAP of 5 hang squat cleans or 5 hang cleans and 5 shoulder to overhead, and that was 165, 115.
Ooh.
And there was no scaling options when that was a workout.
Because they didn't start scaling until like 2013 or 14?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
Okay.
I wanted something like that, but I knew today a lot of people were going to be beat up from everything that we've done this week, a lot of soreness, especially from yesterday. I didn't want to do that heavier type of workout, also with tomorrow being Friday. Right? And so the workout, that was the workout we did today, the 6 and 6. I found that for me, the best thing to do was do 5 hang squat cleans, take a quick break, do 1 hang squat clean, finish into a thruster, and then do 5 more rebounding shoulder to overhead. And I was able to get a little over 6 rounds with that.
And do that. So let's start too with, so we see a 6 minute workout. What are you immediately thinking when you see 6 minutes?
I think when I am programming and also as an athlete, that the shorter the workout, the higher the level of intensity is necessary to achieve the stimulus. Therefore, as an athlete, I'm like, this is going to hurt more.
That's really my go-to. Like, really anything under, really for me, I'm like anything under 10 minutes, but anything in that lower time range, I'm like, oh, this is going to suck. Like, you're going to be moving faster than you want to. It's going to feel longer than it actually is, and it really is more of a like, move fast, it's gonna burn, you're not gonna like it, you're not gonna like the way it feels. That doesn't mean it's an all-out sprint the entire time.
The only time it's going to be a very all-out sprint is really a sub 2 minute effort, right? Like, hey, you're doing max calories in this amount of time or max burpees in this amount of time. Probably a single modality, maybe 2 movements, but like it is all gas. It is full goal.
Maybe if you're trying to get that like sub 3 Fran time.
Yeah.
That
I feel like that.
Yeah, that's
And
gonna be
I
like all out.
The hard part for people is understanding that level of push
Mhm.
because it feels very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And you can think of 1,000 reasons why you should stop, right? Most of them are bullshit. It's super hard for a lot of people to get into that space.
Mhm.
So that I think is the toughest one for people to comprehend, but also achieve.
Right.
And that's speaking as an athlete.
Mhm. And I
right?
think a lot of times too, when you're trying to figure out pacing and you're looking at the time frame, you also have to look at the weight choices. And I know a lot of times like you do look at them, but look at, even if you're not doing RX, I always like to look at what the RX weight is. That gives me an idea of what's this workout supposed to feel like, right? So this workout RX being 115.85, now knowing I didn't know what that open workout was, like knowing that was heavier, this would seem relatively light for that. This is like a moderate weight. Like I feel like a normal
Yeah, I would say
weight is like 95,
light-ish.
65 would be like
Yeah.
light. Like that to me is like, oh, this is meant to be light and like fast. Seeing 115.85, it's still not heavy. Like it should be something where you're like, I could do all 12 reps unbroken. Might not be the best strategy, but like I could.
Yeah.
And so really too, looking at those weights, that'll give you an idea of how quickly should we be moving, how should this weight feel.
And we try to give you guys an idea of like, you know, hey, you should be able to do this without
Mhm.
stopping, or you should be able to get this many rounds, or it should feel like this. And it's sometimes hard to translate, right? So the anytime you see something really short in duration, you're thinking, I'm going very hard.
Mhm.
Not necessarily a full out sprint, but like I would rather see you come out too fast on something like this and fall off,
Yeah.
or just try to hold on, right, in these really short workouts.
Mhm.
And that's how we really should look at some of these types of efforts.
Right.
Then, and this is the space where we spend most of our workouts, this 8 to 15 minute range.
Mhm.
And some of you might be like, well, you know, we tend to have a bunch of longer workouts, and there's nothing incorrect about that. However, when we have workouts where it's every so many minutes, do this amount of work, I'm planning for you to have rest.
Right.
And it might be 2 or 3 minutes of rest. So you can't look at just the duration of the workout. It's
Right.
how much time is done.
How much actual
working.
work time you're doing. Like
Right.
even when we did the EMOM on Monday or Tuesday.
The 40-minute EMOM.
Yes, but it was like like you're doing work for 30 seconds, resting for 30 seconds. So yes, it's 40 minutes, but you're not working that entire 40 minutes.
Right, and I think that's a really good example of where someone sees that being a 40-minute workout.
Mhm.
First of all, it's 20 minutes maximum.
Right.
That's if you did everything. And there was 2 movements that were very, very taxing. The kettlebell deadlifts
Mhm.
and the jammer presses.
Mhm.
So that's 10 minutes of very taxing. The straddle lifts, I'm not discounting them, but the amount of muscle mass we're using there, and we are in a seated position, it is an accessory movement, right? It's not a rest, okay?
Your heart rate's
But
not
the
gonna get as
level
high.
of intensity that you are going through there is significantly diminished.
Mhm.
And then we have the box jumps, which is nervous system taxing, but we're using our own body weight.
Mhm.
It is not the same as using an external load. It's very similar. I like to always kind of compare doing like barbell or dumbbell or kettlebell shoulder to overheads
Mhm.
and the soreness we experience versus doing handstand push-ups. If
Oh,
you did
yeah.
the same amount of volume with both, you're going to be way more taxed on that barbell stuff,
Mhm.
right, than the handstand push-ups because you're just moving your body weight through space. So that workout, yeah, we had 20 minutes of actual work with 20 minutes of rest,
Mhm.
but most athletes were not moving the entire time. I was getting
Right.
like, 5, 6, 7 box jumps in a 30-second window.
Right.
And so there's time that we're not working there, multiple breakups on certain other activities.
Mhm.
And so really the amount of work time most athletes were doing was still sub 20 minutes, probably closer to that 15.
Right. So like thinking that too, not, okay, this is a 40-minute workout, right? I'm only working for 30 seconds at a time. That could kind of help lead you to where should I be instead of the workout would be totally different if it was a 40-minute AMRAP of these 4 movements you're cycling through.
And we said do a certain number of reps.
Right, or even that, like it's an EMOM and you have to do 10 of everything in those minutes or something like that. Like that's going to change how you approach the workout.
Yeah. And so this 8 to 15 minute window, we can keep relatively high intensity,
Mhm.
80, 85, maybe even upwards of 90% of our max heart rate for
Mhm.
periods of time. And then we are going to be able to move moderate to heavy weights
Mhm.
during that time. Yesterday with the rowing and the snatches was more in that kind of time frame
Yeah.
range.
I was gonna say, because I was gonna bring that up, like, so looking at yesterday's workout, right, the 40, 50, 30, 20, 10, dumbbell snatches, 500 meter row. It's a 22-minute time cap, but don't think of that as a 22-minute workout, right? Like, you finished in under 17 minutes, so
Yeah.
you're kind of more in that 8 to 15
Yeah.
time, you know what I
And
mean?
a couple other people finished in that 15, 16
Right.
minute
So
range.
that's really not a 22-minute workout. You know, it's one of those, it's however long you want it to be kind of thing, but that is one where you're moving faster than you want to. Like, I think that was a great, like, that would really be a good example of pacing in a workout. You had to move faster than you wanted to in order to finish, but not necessarily a full out sprint
Yes.
in order to get that done.
And, you know, there are people who didn't finish who obviously either A, should have scaled,
Mhm.
that didn't, right? And or just didn't have it that day. And,
Yeah.
you know, this is where when we program a workout that is for time, we would like to have all of our athletes finish within a 7-ish minute time frame, right? And we create the time caps based on what is the feeling that we're looking for, right? And so that's kind of what we were looking for with that workout is, yeah, this is the higher end of the high intensity time domain that we can typically experience. And you couldn't use the rowing piece as a recovery. You had to be moving,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, which tomorrow, Friday, are longer workouts, if there is cardio involved, we try to use it as a recovery, right?
And sometimes you can. Like, we talked about after, I asked Dennis how different the workout might feel if we had done rowing calories, same as the snatches, like 50, 40,
30, 20.
right? Like, that's going to give you a different feel because that row's also going to go down, so that row is going to get a little bit easier. In that case, the row may have been a little bit of a rest. Not
I
really.
think on that last round, you could have went pretty slow.
Right.
And still got the 10 calories done in a minute.
Right. Like, for me,
Like 10 calories in a minute is not an
Not-
aggressive pace.
right. So, like, for me, though, knowing, you know, I'm not the best rower, and it's definitely not a movement I am fond of. So I'm usually like a 215-ish, 220 pace for a 500 if I'm not all out sprinting, which I knew for this, I can't maintain a sprint pace for this many rounds of it. So, like, watching the clock, pacing myself, I'm like, I need at least 215 at the end in order to get this done and finish it. So that's where that becomes a little bit of a struggle, where, like, I can't row so fast on this first one that I'm now so gassed going into this next set of snatches. I can't maintain that row pace, but I also can't go so slow that I now don't have enough time to get it all in because I paced it too much.
And I think this is where people do what we suggest is counterintuitive. Because you see an athlete and we'll say, hey, we got snatches, handstand push-ups, running, right? And they're like, I'm not good at handstand push-ups. So I'm gonna do the snatches and the running as fast as I can so that I have more time to do the handstand push-ups, right? And that's what you're thinking, like, okay, I'll get more time.
Right, I'm gonna go faster at the thing I'm good at.
Right, because then I won't waste time on it.
Right.
But what ends up happening is you're jacking your heart rate up more. You're having a higher heart rate and you're experiencing more fatigue when it is time for you to do the activity that you're not as good at. And so then what ends up happening there, you feed into this vicious cycle of continued struggle. And what I typically recommend for people is the opposite, right? Like, not go easy on the movements you're good at, but use those to make you ready to attack the thing that is going to hold you back the most.
Yeah.
And that way you have more success with it because you're the freshest for that.
To go into that
and
movement,
you know the
yeah.
movement you're good at, you could grind through a little bit more, right? And be able to do that. And like, you were attacking the row that way, and like, what is the row pace I can sustain and then be able to still be successful in the workout?
And like, something I like to do on the row, especially, is like, you know, so yesterday being a 500, you know, I'll do like one last hard pull, maybe at like 480, 485, and then I let it just coast in. Like, I put the handle down, I sit there and I wait. So this way, as soon as it hits 500, I can get off the row or go right into my snatches, instead of pulling all the way to 500 and then getting up, taking a breath, walking around, you know, kind of like I'm now out of breath going back into those snatches. So I kind of slowed down on the row there at the end so I can go right into that next movement and get those reps in.
And this is that's where knowing who you are as an athlete is really important, right? And like just us being brutally honest with ourselves and like, okay, where am I gonna give myself the bullshit rest, right? Where would I take it? How would I take it, right? And so like, you know, going into the workouts, it's the same for us as it is for all of you guys. It's a challenge for us, and we're trying to be the best that we can. And you know, there's a lot of days where it's like, oh, I should have did this, I could have did that, I could have did that better. And you know, yesterday going into the workout, I was not sure where I was gonna fall time-wise, how good I was gonna be able to do. Could I do the snatches unbroken? I don't know. How hard should I row? And so I got through the first round, did the snatches unbroken. My row pace was, I think I finished the first round, the 50 and the 500, just under 4 minutes. And I'm like, all right, let's try it again. Do the 40 unbroken, don't get chalked, go right to it. And I implemented a very similar strategy to finishing the row as Erica was. One more pull, get up, stand over the rower or the dumbbell, take a deep breath and go. And it's always an experiment. And sometimes your strategy doesn't work. And if your strategy isn't working, what do we tell you guys to do? Change it.
Don't
right?
you don't have to stick to it, right? And I think yesterday too is, you know, looking at those dumbbell weights. So seeing 50, 35. To me, that's like a standard weight.
Yes.
To me, like that should be something I could do 50 unbroken of. Maybe not the best strategy, but you should be like that's how I
It
think
shouldn't be
about
an
it.
intimidating weight.
Right. So like looking at that, you should be like, all right, I could do X amount unbroken. Here's how I'm going to go through it. And I don't know for you, like for me, I'm much better, or at least I like the dumbbell snatches more than the rowing. But again, I didn't want to fall into this trap of I'm going to make up time on the snatches. So I just knew the snatches I could move at a nice moderate pace and it wasn't going to tax me as much, and then able to get on the row and I have more energy for that. As opposed to I'm going to get through these snatches as fast as I can so I have more row time, but then I get on the row and now I'm out of breath, I'm tired, and I already don't like rowing. So I wanted to give myself the best advantage getting on that row. So moving through the snatches at I wouldn't say slow pace, but just a moderate, nice, steady pace that I knew I didn't need to stop from. I think helped. I think that's a big thing too when you're looking at a workout. And I know I say this to a lot of you when you come in and you're here, but like looking at yesterday's workout, if you didn't think that you could potentially do all of those rounds unbroken, I wouldn't start going unbroken. Especially for you, if you're like, snatches are really tough for me. Like dumbbell snatches are really tough for me. The snatch movement is a really hard movement. So if you're looking at this and you're like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to maintain going unbroken, don't start unbroken. Because all you're gonna do is fatigue yourself and tire yourself out. And now we get back to it and you might not be able to do as many as you thought you could because you're so fatigued from it.
It's what you can do the fastest, the longest.
Right.
Right? And, you know, with today's workout, very similar to yesterday's little finisher, talking about trying not to put the bar down, it's because when we talk about breaking things up, right, I say it a lot in class, and so I know you guys are half listening, but it's, do I need to rest or do I want to rest? And there's 3 reasons you need to rest. You're gonna fail, you're gonna get hurt, or you're gonna hurt someone else, right? You're gonna lose control of the implement you are utilizing and someone could get hurt, or you are gonna fail that rep. Everything else is want to rest. And guess what? I fall in the want to rest. I did it today.
All the time.
Right?
Yeah.
So please don't think we're like, you know, you guys are doing a bad job or anything like that. We all are there. We all understand that.
Yeah.
The goal is to make the number of I want to rests decrease, right? And when we do rest, we really need to look at the clock. You know, yes, we're still in the squares because people like the squares and it helps keep things organized, but people still meander, they walk around, they take longer rest, they get
Lots
a
of
drink.
laps around the bar,
Right,
or whatever
and
the
like,
apparatus is.
If you are waiting until you feel comfortable, you are missing out on valuable opportunity to increase your fitness, right? Those of you who have worked out with me in class and you hear me making noises, like that's me in my own head trying to get me to keep moving because I don't want to, but I know I can and need to. And that is the key. That is the success. It doesn't matter how much weight you're lifting. It doesn't matter what scaling option or modification you are doing. But if you put yourself in the position of I am moving when I don't want to, often, you are making success.
And that's how you get better.
That's it.
That is how you get better. And we have spent tons of workouts learning how to pace, learning ourselves as athletes, and knowing what's going to work best for us, and sometimes doing a really shitty job at it. Like, we've both done workouts where it's like, that was not a good strategy, I should not have done that, I should have done this instead. But that's how you learn, that's how you learn yourself. And I think too, watching the clock and being smart about your rest. Like, there's, especially when I was like first getting like chest to bar pull-ups, they were very taxing for me, very hard. So it's like I would do 1 or 2, come down, 2 steps out, 2 steps back, jump up, do it. 2 steps out, and that was my rest pace. So I knew I wasn't taking 30 seconds this time, or I don't know this, like I had this kind of set rest, and okay, we're getting back into it. Like, this is the rhythm. And even if I didn't want to go back up, it's like, well, you took your 4 steps, you go back up. And that helped me to really learn to move when I didn't want to, be able to do the movement under fatigue and kind of keep me on pace with it.
It also establishes a pattern of success, right? Like, I think you can attest to this completely with you devoting more time to the weightlifting, is you have a specific approach to your barbell every time, right?
Whether it's the empty barbell, my first warm-up set, or my like last working set, the way I walk up to the barbell, the way I grab the barbell, it's the same every single time.
And we all, and I do it, like if you watch me, I will tell you, I step up, bar touches my shins, right hand down, left hand down, I give a little shake, get tight, and I go, and that's my snatch, my clean, every single time. We are setting patterns, right? And if your pattern is to always stop when it's hard, you just keep feeding into that. And so we got to break that pattern and establish a new one. And so, you know, I think Erica with those, the chest to bar pull-ups and that couple step, like it's making it automatic and you're not thinking about it. And that's huge.
Because instead of approaching something like, I'm just going to do as many as I can and then see what happens. A lot of us do that, and that is a bad strategy because you're always going to do the most when you feel fresh. You have to think, what can I do under fatigue? And if you know when you get tired, singles, I'm at singles, start with singles from the beginning. Like, I'd rather see all of you doing a single, you know, whether this is pull-ups or a heavy clean or whatever it is, do 1 rep at a time, and then as the workout goes, ooh, now I can do 2, now I can do 3, because I have that energy, instead of, well, I started with 7 unbroken and now I'm at singles.
I would say too, I guess it's like a counterpoint to that, but every day we come in and work out, it's practice, right? It's a training session, it's practice. So there are times to experiment, and there's nothing wrong with, hey, I want to see how many I can do just to see how many I can do, but understand the consequence of that, right? There's going to be a cost to, I'm going to do as many as I can in the beginning. And as long as you're aware that there's going to be that consequence, you're cool with, hey dude, the workout might fall apart and you might not get a great score, which you should be cool with anyways, because the goal is to get better, not win the whiteboard. Just knowing that is really important. Because
that'll happen too a lot of times when we scale up, right? If you are working on handstand push-ups, and all right, there's 5 in this workout. So you're like, all right, I can handle 5. We're gonna do 5 in the workout. Going into that knowing I may not finish or get the best score or whatever, but I am working on this higher skill, that is also how we get better. And then learning, okay, I'm gonna do 5, that's a lot for me, so I'm gonna do 1 at a time. And you know, learning how to pace that way also. It's a new movement. This is, you know, one of my first few times doing it in a workout, I should go slower with it. And then again, not go super fast on whatever movement's next. If you're like, oh, it's running, and you're like, oh, I'm great at running, so I'll just run super fast, and then I come back in, but now I need like a minute to catch my breath before I can do a handstand push-up again. Because I think, which I think maybe still goes along with pacing, but like transition is a big place where you can make up time or help yourself keep moving. I find for me, it's really beneficial if I finish a movement, I go right into that next movement, even if it's not a huge set, but I go right into it, I get that change of movement, and I've already done a couple, okay, now take a break, go back into it.
There is some theory that the transition of movement and going right into the next one will help with that blood flow redistribution and heart rate management. So there is definitely something to doing that. And I'll say too, I see it a lot with running. When you come in from a run, people will run all the way into their station, and then put their hands on their legs and just sit there.
And then yeah.
Right? And it's like, listen, you get inside, unless you're going right onto the activity, why are you running to it?
Right.
Because all you're gonna do is keep accelerating your heart rate to that point, right? Unless you're gonna go right on it, you should slow it down, try to bring the heart rate back down, bring the breath back under control so that you are taking advantage of that time.
Yeah.
Right?
Using the time to your advantage, right? Instead of thinking like, it's kind of like working with it, right? And like working with the workout. And so I love to walk in and then go right into the movement, you know, like if it's like, say it's a barbell movement, I will, like, as soon as I get in the door, I will walk to my barbell, but then go right on my barbell and start doing a movement instead of running to my square. Okay, now having to rest, take a second. Okay, now I'm gonna get into it. Well, I just probably ate 30 seconds that I could have done at least 2-3 reps, gotten that next movement in, you know, be better able to keep going.
So what about the long workouts?
Ooh, I do kind of love long workouts.
Well, you know what's interesting is like, we have the Fuck You Fridays and everyone bitches. But it's like the busiest day.
Yeah, because
and we have less classes.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest grind of a day. But it's just like,
yeah.
You know.
And I mean, I love a long workout because to me, this is really when, if you are good at pacing, a long workout's going to be your friend. Because I'm just like, all right, we're going to settle in and we're going to be here. I'm not the best. I mean, I've gotten better over the years, but like having like those 5-6 minute workouts where you really have to push are a lot harder for me, especially more recently. But a long workout where you can just kind of settle into it, and we're going to be here for 40 minutes. That's really where you have to think about, what pace can I maintain for 40 minutes? Not just how fast can I do round one and then hope we stay there.
Sometimes. I mean, I pay attention a lot to how long it takes me to do something, and as soon as I see how long it takes me to do it, you know, in my head when I'm planning the workout, making time caps and whatever, my anticipation is, okay, this should take this long, we should anticipate this many rounds-ish, whatever. You know, then I play games with myself, and it's like, can I keep doing this?
Oh yeah.
Or if someone's hanging with me, or it's like, all right, can I break the rubber band on this person? Or can I sustain? Or are they gonna pull away from me? Where are they gonna be better than me?
And I think that's it too. Like, a lot of us, like I know you do it, I do it. We're like, as I'm going through the workout, I am very much always thinking of, is this strategy the best? Okay, when I pick up this barbell, how many reps am I doing? How, you know, I'm always thinking about what it is I'm doing, how many I'm gonna do, how this feels, especially if I'm like on a run. So if I'm on that run, I am thinking about, okay, when we get back in, I'm gonna go right on this movement, I'm gonna do X amount of reps, then I'm gonna get chalk, or I'm gonna get chalk first, and then like I'm always thinking about what it is we're gonna do. And I think a lot of times some of us struggle with that, and we're like, I have no plan, I don't know, I'm just here. Which is fine, and that's great, show up, do your best. But thinking about what it is you're gonna do before you do it or while you're doing it really helps you learn, okay, how did 6 reps feel? Could I do 7? Okay, I'm doing 15, I'm gonna break it up 6, 5, 4. Because for me, mentally, I like to have 1 less rep every time, right? So like kind of playing those games with yourself and thinking about it as you're going through, you know, and I think all of us set a goal before we start the workout. And then as you're going through it, it's like, oh, originally I thought 4 rounds, but I think I could really get 5. I think 5 is possible. Okay, this is what I gotta do to get 5. You know, and keeping yourself on it that way.
Yeah, I mean, that's true of every workout. And I definitely agree with the, if we're breaking up a movement and it's only 1 or 2 breaks, that having a descending rep scheme is mentally huge, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's do 50 of something and you do 26, I don't know, doing 24 seems way less than doing 25.
Yeah.
And I think that's really huge. So if you don't know what we're talking about, Erica said with a 15 rep movement, right? You might say, I'm gonna do 3 sets of 5, especially with odd number movements, right?
Right, yeah.
Because, you know, but 6, 5, 4, that helps out so much in not only not fatiguing on that movement, but then whatever is next after the set of 4, you will be a little less fatigued going to it because you didn't do 5 or 6 reps on it.
Right. You had less, so you had, right, they went quicker. You were able to probably breathe a little bit better on that, move a little bit better on that, and then you're able to go into that next one. And I always think too, with like a long workout, I tend to always start a little slower than I know I'm gonna finish. Because I'll start at a pace where it's like, I know I can maintain this, and then as we get towards the end, it's like, all right, now can I do one more rep? Can I go a little faster on this run? Because now I kind of have that energy because I was pacing the entire time.
I would say I do that with specifically the heavy lifting portions.
Okay.
Because one, the structure of the workouts, we don't have 15, 20 minutes to warm up. It's only an hour class. And I'm lifting for myself relatively heavy. And so I'm like, okay, be a little slower and deliberate on the first few rounds or first couple rounds, like make sure you got it good. And then if you can accelerate through them, do it.
Yeah.
If not, you're gonna have to figure stuff out on the other things. But I don't find that I do that with the entirety of the movements. I find like personally it's just the heavy stuff. It's like I'm a little timid on going into it.
Say it's like a heavy barbell and then like pull-ups.
Yeah.
Because like you can rock out pull-ups.
Yes.
So, and then like a run, we'll say.
Yeah.
So you'd go a little more conservative on that barbell.
Yes. Because I know in my head I'm good at cardio, and like pull-ups as an example, I can rock out sets of 20,
Right.
whatever.
So you think, say it's a 40-minute workout, we're doing our heavy cleans, whatever it is, and then we're doing pull-ups. Would you still start with like a conservative amount of pull-ups, or like, no, I know I can maintain?
Okay, so say we did cleans, pull-ups, and a run. Okay, 40-minute workout. So it depends on how many cleans.
Okay.
And how heavy it is, and if it's squat or power.
Okay.
And then how many pull-ups, right? So if we're like, say, let's just do arbitrary, 5 cleans at 225.
Squat.
5 squat cleans at 225, and then 20 pull-ups.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Chest to bar.
And that was like a 600-meter run.
600-meter run. Okay. So if I was to do each one of those movements independently, how long is 5 touch and go squat cleans going to take me? Probably, we'll say conservatively, a minute.
Okay.
Okay. 20 chest to bar pull-ups is going to take me 30 seconds.
Okay.
And a 600-meter run is probably going to take me in the neighborhood of 2.5 minutes.
Okay.
So 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes for a round. 10 rounds is going to be the absolute maximum. Am I going to get 10 rounds? No. Am I going to fall off? Absolutely. So in my head, I'm going to be like, all right, what's going to be really the limiting factor is how much can I sustain on the pull-ups and not rip on my hands.
So would you do that first set of pull-ups unbroken?
I think I would probably do 2 sets of 10 or a 12 and an 8.
Okay.
It just depends on how good the kip is feeling and how tired I am from the cleans. And I'm probably going to be shooting for somewhere in 6 to 8 rounds on that kind of a workout.
Okay.
So 6 to 8 rounds, you're looking at somewhere between 6.5 and 8 minutes per round. You know, that I'm giving myself enough space to just be able to hang on and do the work.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. Like with these longer workouts, especially just our classes being an hour time, you know, all of that, we usually don't do as much of a warm up, but really in that
for the long workouts.
Yes, for the long ones. And so, but really in a long workout, you don't need a super long warm up because you're gonna warm up as you're going through it. And really that first round or so, not saying go really slow, but like you're using that kind of as your warm up to help you gauge, okay, how do these feel? How do these squat cleans feel now that I'm fresh? How are they gonna feel after a 600-meter run, under more fatigue? How's my grip gonna be? And so you're kind of using that first round to really help you gauge for the rest of the workout. And then I'd probably be on that run like, okay, what's my strategy gonna be for this next round? How did all of that feel? I'm gonna be a little tired coming back in. What am I gonna do?
My big thing on the run would be keeping my arms long and loose, like really trying to keep my upper body
So that's,
relaxed.
when we say long and loose, like a lot of us tend to run like this.
T-Rexes.
Yeah, and then you come back in and now you go to like do cleans, you're like, oh, my arms are so tired, right? So like every so often I will literally shake my arms out as I'm running.
Also, like we haven't had an opportunity to really discuss running a lot lately, but the hand position, like I like to think of either holding potato chips or sheets of loose leaf in my hand. Like that's the gentleness. You're not clenched up. Obviously, if it's cold, I'm tucking my thumb underneath and I'm pulling into my sweatshirt. But yeah, that is one thing, like using the run in a workout like that to your advantage to recover. But the other thing that I kind of started talking about, but I don't think we really touched on is like, so say we did that workout with the 5, the 20, and the run.
That's gonna be tomorrow's workout.
No, it's not. I think it's gonna be too cold to run outside. Next week, I believe it's going to be in the 50s. But when we look at a workout like that, oh, I can do 5 squat cleans. I can do 20 pull-ups. Hey, it's 40 minutes long.
Right.
It's going to be 140 pull-ups,
Right.
not just 20, right? And so we got to look at not just the volume of the round, but what is the volume of the whole workout going to be?
And I think especially people get tripped up in EMOMs with that,
Yes.
especially when we give the number and you're like, oh, it's only 5 chest to bar. And it's like, all right, but it's going to be 10 rounds. So really it's 50 chest to bars. How's that going to feel?
And you're doing other things in that.
Right. So not getting stuck in this it's this many reps. Okay, but how many times you're going to be doing that? How's that going to feel over the course of?
That happened a lot for people on, what was it, Chelsea? Right? That 30-minute EMOM of
yes.
pull-ups, push-ups, squats,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
And that was the one where I saw a lot of people just like start failing. And we had to keep scaling.
But yeah, because I think that's one too where, right, the rep scheme seems very low and you're like, oh, this is so easy. And so you'll start off with doing everything unbroken and then realize I can't maintain this unbroken for 30 minutes. So that's one where it's like, all right, in the beginning, I'm going to break everything up, focus on breathing, moving at a consistent pace. And then as the workout goes, okay, can I move a little faster now? Now that I've paced it out a little bit, now can I do more reps?
And sometimes it's not the movement you think it is that's going to get you, right? A lot of people thought pull-ups on that one, and really it was a lot of the push-ups that was really smoking people out. But yeah, like looking at the volume expected or the potential volume, right? When it's an AMRAP, obviously we can't say guarantee, but we say, hey, this is what we're shooting for. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, you got to look at, okay, can I do this many total, right? That's really big. What else? Any other strategy topics, like common things we see people have challenges with or concerns?
Some of it too, I think a little like when we're looking at choices, never be afraid to also, and like we try and always say it, but never be afraid to ask like, hey, what's the intent today? So like with today's workout, right, it only being 6 minutes, we're looking at these weights. Is this one where I should be scaling up and going heavier and trying to work at that heavier weight? Or is this one where I should be lighter and moving faster? And I think some of us have a tendency to always want to scale down, and some have a tendency to always want to scale up, and there's good and bad times for both of those. Like there's definitely some movements where, it's like to me, if it's a longer workout with maybe shorter reps on that harder movement for you, like, yeah, let's do it. We're gonna have a long time to do it. It's not gonna hinder too much of the workout. It's not a lot of reps. Let's scale up a little bit. If it's 6 minutes, this to me is more of a scale down, move fast. And I think also never being afraid to do one of those. It's okay to scale down and move faster. That's still gonna benefit you, and that's a great time to learn to move when you don't want to. Like, you know you're not gonna fail this weight, you know you can do it. Now it's about mentally moving when you don't want to. And then also there's really good times to scale up and work at that heavier weight that sometimes we're a little timid by.
Well, I think that covers most of it. Obviously, every question you guys ask is going to be, it depends, and like with that, like that general guidance Eric is providing, like it's true. It also depends on what are your goals, right? I've had a couple of gentlemen asking me recently about adding more muscle mass, and it's like, well, listen, when it's a strength, we need to push those numbers, and then when it comes to the workout, I'm going to be encouraging you to scale up to do the harder stuff. That's going to force you to use more muscle mass, but then you're going to be doing lower scores, and you got to be okay with that.
Which is okay. It's
Right.
okay to not get the best score.
Yeah.
You don't get anything for winning the whiteboard.
Do you know what? The person who has the best score, quote unquote, it just means the workout was the easiest for them. That's all that means. It doesn't mean that they were the best. It means the workout was the easiest for them. And some days it'll be the easiest for you. Most days it won't be, right? And that's like the post I put up earlier today, talking about being comfortable with failure and seeking failure. That is important, right? The whole concept and idea of our life is lived at the margins of our experiences. That's what this is, right? We talk a lot about CrossFit being this microcosm of life, and that it helps us deal with the adversity and challenges that we experience within the world. Like, it's true. It's what it is, and we try to live that to the best of our abilities. and show that to all of you guys, and we experience all of the same struggles, challenges, and difficulties that all of you experience. So
yeah, and I think if you don't ever fail, you're never really pushing yourself hard enough. And I'm not saying you should fail every day, all the time, like, no. But if you're like, I've never failed a movement, or I've never got a really bad score, or I've never whatever, are you really, how do we really know what you're capable of if you've never pushed those limits?
you just might be too comfortable, right?
Right, and so learning how to kind of move when you're uncomfortable, and just take that risk. Like, all right, today I'm just gonna scale up. Maybe I won't get the best score. That's okay. My personal goal is to be able to do X, Y, Z. I just want to do a handstand push-up in a workout, and if I do that, it's a win for today. And kind of set these smaller little goals for yourself, not just I need to move the fastest all the time.
Yeah. So if you guys have any topic suggestions, this one was from Moose, so Moose, thank you. Please let us know. Shoot us a message. Tell us in class, whatever. If you like the stuff, comment, share it, let people know. We want to make sure that what we're providing you guys is worthwhile content, and keep sharing it. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, Friday. Who knows what it's going to be?
Cleans and pull-ups.
Definitely not.